Tender was the light in my eyes, should have seen it. Tender as the grace that makes me gate into the fields. Just clouds were gone in a bit last, should I've been bleeding, vague like a breath in a storm, crawling like a breeze to the love down by the light. And I feel it gone.
Hello dear friends, we would like to introduce to you today a wonderful concertina artist from Argentina, Joaquin Sofredini. Hello Joaquin.
Hello.
Could you please tell us how you started your creative activity in your childhood? How it all began for you?
I think the artist in me was since I have consciousness since I was a child.
Did somebody influence you in your kind of search to be artistic, to become an artist?
Yes, my father is a fan of music, especially of jazz, so I've always been surrounded by musicians, and he always was creating festivals of jazz and things like that. But at the same time I had a grandmother that was very close to me, and she was the one who was pushing me to express myself as an artist.
And how did you express yourself in your childhood? Were you performing? Were you starting to write your songs? How did it all start? What did you start from?
I remember when I was a child that I used to play a lot with my grandmother as she was cooking. I used to bring my recorder. I used to sing, to invent songs and to invent tales, you know, and I was always playing, and I loved dancing too. So I think I was creating since I remember.
When did you write your first song?
My first song, I think I wrote it when I was 11 years old.
What was it all about?
Oh, it was a very corny song, and the title was "Qué rico helado," which means something like "What a delicious ice cream." Yes, well, I was 11 years old. What can you expect?
And who did you show your song? Did anybody did you have your audience?
No. At 11, I was just singing for my grandmother, and at that point, my parents, they didn't know that I had a gift for being an artist, but my grandmother saw everything that I am today as an artist, and obviously she was always pushing me.
So how important it was for you that your grandmother was encouraging you?
Well, I think it was very important, because otherwise I think I wouldn't be doing this interview. The support and what your parents or your grandparents can tell you when you're a child and what they can do is so important during that period of your life, which is the most important, I think, because it's the base of everything that you will do with yourself and with the world. So I think it was very important, her presence in my life, as a human being and as an artist.
And what inspired you when you started writing your songs? Did you have any particular favorite songwriters, artists, or why did you suddenly think that you wanted to write a song? So what was your inspiration?
I think when I was a child, I don't remember. I think it was just, I was very playful. I was always playing along with myself. I had I still have a lot of imagination, and I was always using it, and so I could create a world of anything. The same way I wrote my first songs, I think it was just something funny, but as I was a teenager, I think I started to use writing to throw out all the things that was happening inside. Could be sadness, happiness, or anything. And so sometimes I wrote poems, and sometimes I wrote songs. I always need to create, and so what inspired me was what I was feeling at that moment and what I wanted to say about what was happening at that point of my life.
Who inspired you throughout your life, or maybe it's been changing with the time? Who carried on inspiring you? You know, what you inspired by when you were older, and now what inspires you now, and whether you have any artists or just people who are not artists or performers who you can name as your role models or people you looked up to who gave you inspiration in your creative activity.
Yes, as I was a child, as I told you, I grew up surrounded by artists because of my father and musicians and all that. But at the same time, these artists were always listening to new musicians, new artists, and so I was always influenced by different styles of music and different artists. I can tell you that I was very inspired when I was a child by Mercedes Sosa, which is an Argentinian folk singer, and she was so strong as I was growing. But there was also jazz, there was also, I don't know, I can listen to Pink Floyd and then go to Mercedes Sosa and then go to Madonna and then go to Keith Jarrett, and I love all them. I found very interesting people and artists like Peter Gabriel, David Bowie, Madonna, Michael Jackson, you know, those icons that were always saying something more or doing something more than just sing, you know.
Maybe you can tell, what do you mean by more? How can you describe this?
Well, because I think I felt very identified, for example, with David Bowie or Madonna. The things that I always loved changing. As you know, I've studied my acting career, so I loved acting, and what I found more interesting and wonderful about acting is this possibility, this chance of being someone else. And so when I sing and when I create a show, I always try to do it in a theatrical way, because I think it allows me to do so much more and to express what this song is telling me and what I want to tell to the people about it. And I think that these artists like David Bowie and so many others were always trying to do something similar and changing, and I found that very interesting. So though I am very different, I'm always trying different things, you know. I've been an opera singer, and I can create my own songs and do pop, and you know, and I can sing Edith Piaf, I can sing different things, obviously with my style and my way, you know, never trying to be like them, because that doesn't work for me, at least.
Do you have any particular theme that you would like to write about in your songs? You know, what do you like to write about?
No, I don't have a particular thing, but I can tell you that when I write something, in the end there's always hope. It's since I remember, since I started to write songs or poems, poetry, or even, to write about a subject and philosophize about it. In the end, there's always hope and light. Even in my darkest moments when I wrote, I could never end a poem in a dark way. I think it's in my nature.
That's fantastic. But when you have these dark moments, what happens you to come out of them?
When you are passing through darkest moment, you can create the lightest treasures in terms of creativity, songs, poems, or whatever. And most of my favorite songs came from dark moments.
That's interesting. It sounds like a paradox, but it's a very interesting point of view.
Yeah, I also can write happy songs. I'm gonna take a new ride. I'm gonna travel the world, and you can be by my side, or I will make it alone. I'm gonna leave behind my troubles and go home. I'm gonna make a new start. This time I'm feeling so strong, and you can be by my side, or I will make it alone. I'm gonna take a ride. I'm gonna reach far, just walking the road. There's something about happiness that it's very useful for pop, and because it's light, I don't know how to say, it's not as profound, at least it doesn't seem so profound and so artistic and beautiful as sadness or melancholic can be.
Do you have any passions apart from music and performing?
I have always been a very good actor because even when I am modeling, I am playing a character, and I love that.
What do you think of this modeling business? Why did you stay in it? Was it interesting for you? How was it?
Why did I start to be a model? Because they discovered me. I was on a subway, and a man came close to me and said, listen, are you a model? Because I think you have this condition. He gave me a card, and so I showed it to my friends. I was very not trusting a lot in this world about modeling and fashion, so they encouraged me to call and to do something, so I did it, and it was very nice. But I have to to tell you that as I was being a model, I was always very frightened of being recognized as a model and not as an artist. I was afraid that my appearance, or however you want to call it, could be stronger than what was for me so much strong. And maybe because in Argentina, if you're a model, you cannot do anything else. You are just a model. Pretty face, emptiness. And I grew up there, and I was there, and so that was my reality. And I was so secure about what I wanted to be and about what I wanted to be recognized for, that I didn't try a lot, didn't push a lot in my career as a model.
You decided to become an actor. How did it all develop? Where did you go to study?
Well, I started to take my acting lessons because I always wanted to be a singer, but the thing is that since I was a child, I was very shy, so it was a contradiction, to want to be in front of an audience, and being so shy sometimes can be very difficult, and so I started to take my acting lessons, my acting classes, just to be able to be in front of an audience. But suddenly I discovered that I loved it, because this thing that I told you before about being different persons and have the chance to do so many things and play, and all the time being a kid playing with these different personalities, I found it so interesting. And so I studied my acting career, and there were a very known vocal teacher, Carlos de Martina, discovered that I was a concertino, and then everything changed again. I went back to my singing lessons, and I kept on with that, but from that point I was doing it as an opera singer. I don't know exactly which is the term in English, but I can say opera singer, which it wasn't what I want. I never wanted to be an opera singer.
Opera singer or classical singer?
Yes,
Did
well,
you mean
classical
singing
singer,
in
you
an
can
opera
say.
house, or just singing classical music? Because you combine classical music and pop, yeah? Do you feel any connection between these two?
No, I couldn't do pop until I say no to opera, because until 2010 I was taking my singing lessons with my teachers, singing teachers that were all very famous singers from Teatro de Colón, which is the most important, not only in Argentina but in the world. And I was a little tired. I had the chance to be in the opera world, and I realized finally that was not for me. It was a very different world, and I couldn't be as creative as I wanted, but at the same time I couldn't be as sensitive as I am. So when I was there, I remember in one rehearsal, the director, in front of all the orchestra, he was correcting me, and he started to shout to me and treat me in a very bad way, and I ended up crying. And I remember that no one came to me to tell me something. So I said, this is not for me. And so it took a long time to say, okay, this is the end. And after that, I make a big change, and I started to express myself, to do what I always wanted to do. So I get close to pop, to popular music. But when I say pop, I'm always also talking about famous singers or composers or artists like Edith Piaf, Jacques Brel, Queen, Nana Moscoury, and so many others. And also to the writer, the songwriter that was in me, but I couldn't start to express myself until I say no to the opera.
As we talk about your life and your career, were there any miracles in your life that you can name some events as miracles that helped you to become who you are now?
Yes, I think that there always had been miracles through all of my life, but I also have to say something about it. A spiritual teacher that one day told us about miracles, and he said, "There's no miracles. There's only my achievements," because in Spanish, what he said was, no existen los milagros, existen mis logros. And what he wanted to say is that miracles only will come to you as long as you live your life and fight for your dreams and do something. Otherwise, the universe will never listen to you and will never listen what you want about this life or from this life. So I always lived experiences that were very close to miracles, but for that I had to work. For example, I remember when I was doing my unipersonal, which was a show that I did.
I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be fire, sweet. Rien, no je ne regrette rien. Je vois la vie en rose.
Work with the costume, the lights, the videos. I edit all the videos. I make the edition of the videos, and I performed in the city where I was born in, Paraná, and then other cities like Rosario, Santa Fe. But obviously, I have already worked at that time in Buenos Aires, and I wanted to present it there. So I rent a small theater in Buenos Aires, and obviously it wasn't that easy. I had to work a lot to rent it. And that night, a lot of friends that I had from the show business came to see me, and there was Linda Pérez. After the show, she came to congratulate me, and she invited me to have dinner with her. So we went, and she said to me, "I want to work with you, but because I think you're very talented." We were talking all night long, and when we were going out of the place, there was Lino Patalano, who is a very famous producer and the owner of El Maipo, which is one of the more important theaters in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So she introduced me to Lino Patalano, and she said, he's Joaquin, he's a concertino, I just discovered his grave. Oh, you're a concertino, Lino said to me. And I said yes, and he said, okay, could you sing something, some aria from Handel? And I said yes, so he asked for silence with his cup. And I sang a fragment from Handel's aria, and he said to us, okay, you have the Maipo for free. So after that, we worked 1 year with Linda and so many other people like Julian Batz, who was the musical director of the show, Elave. We had the El Maipo just for free, and all this seems they are miracles, but nothing of this would ever happen if I wouldn't have the dream that I had 1 or 2 years before all these things, and if I wouldn't worked on it. So and the same I can tell you about many things. For example, when I create my first video with my first song, "Don't Go Away," I share it I posted it in Facebook, and what happened was that a lot of friends from Facebook started to share it on their profiles. And so suddenly, director Anthony Hickling, is a French director, wrote to me telling that he loved my work and that he would like to work with me. And I say, okay, it's great, but I am a little far away from you. So he said, well, we'll find a way. And so one day I asked him, do you think I can write a song for your film? And he can say, well, we can try. So he was shooting a film at that point, and he said, when I finish this one, I will get in touch with you. And he did. And so I started to write the song, which is the song Tender that is in YouTube and you can listen to.
In your eyes, tender like the breeze, they fall down to your arms. And I feel it coming into the fields, and I'm feeling so much love. I feel it rolling through the hills, and I'm feeling so much love.
So, and after that, some French people from Tolman Productions got in touch with me, and they offered me to go to France. So last year I went to France, and I be doing a tour. I sang in Paris, in Avignon, in Strasbourg. And all that happened because one day I did what I felt I had to do. So I think miracles are always there, and they happen as long as you move and do something in your life.
How it develops.
I have to find that inspiration is also a work. Sometimes I go into the place where I write songs in my house in Argentina, and I just cannot find anything. But anyway, I play the keyboards, I improvise something. But at the day after that, I go back, I return to the same place, and something more interesting starts to happen. And maybe I found a piece of a song or not, but if I go there for the third time, I finally will find something. But so I think inspiration is also a word.
Did you study music as a child? You have any education, musical education?
No, as I was a child, I didn't. I had as I was a teenager. I was very rebel about it because I didn't like the idea of a song or music on a score. You know, I found it at that time that it was square, and for me music was free, and so I cannot explain what I felt exactly with words when I was a child and a teenager about music, but it was very difficult for me to learn how to read music, and I am not very good yet, you know. I am more instinctive. When I want to create, I do it, but everything is about intuition and instinct. So yes, I have studied being a teenager, and after they discovered that I was a concertina.
Do you believe in God, and what is your attitude towards religion?
Yes, I always believed in God. I was raised as a Catholic. I went to a Catholic school when I was a child, but I consider myself much more spiritual human being and not religious, because as I grew up, I found that religions create divisions in man, in human beings, and so I always thought that the God I pray to is the same one for everyone, and He's good and kind, and He's the same for everyone, and so I think that religion sometimes can be a little not so good, because many wars has happened because of religions, and at the same time, in the name of God, so many terrible things has been done during our history. So I prefer, and I call myself a spiritual person, but though I pray as a Catholic, because that's the way I've learned to get in touch with God, I don't consider myself a religious person, but yes, a very spiritual one.
Do you have your own philosophy in life?
Yeah, well, my own philosophy in life, I don't know how to say it, if I would say it good in English, but it's basically to do to do to the others what I want them to do to me, and not to do to them anything that I don't want to receive. Basically, I think it's that, and I am a person that never asks for something that cannot give.
As you talk about your attitude towards other people, what quality do you value in people the most?
Sincerity and good persons with nice souls. That's all for me. Sincerity and nice energy. Yeah.
Do you have any historic characters that you are really interested in, or any particular characters from plays or books that, as an actor, you can identify with?
Well, when I started to take my acting lessons, I always wanted to be the bad, because I was the opposite. I was very shy and quiet, and so I loved shouting and doing all these things, because I think the most beautiful thing about acting is to be someone else, someone that to be able to become and to turn into a different person. I love actors that are able to do these kind of things, like Gary Oldman, which is my favorite actor, and because he's always playing with the character and for the character.
And who else can you name as your favorite actors or directors or musicians who inspire you?
Musicians are so many and so different. I love jazz music. I love Kid Jarrett. I love Chick Corea. I love Ella Fitzgerald. I love Frank Sinatra. I grew up listening to British artists like Elton John, George Michael, and Sting, and so many others, great artists, Annie Lennox, Mercedes Sosa, which is my favorite singer. I love Barbara Streisand, and so many artists that had some influence on me, and as I told you, then there are these artists that represent so much more, but not only by music, but by for everything that they have done, like David Bowie and Madonna and characters like that.
Yeah, and they were all very good performers, as in a way that they created their shows like performances, like theater performances. And what your dream performance or show would be like?
Well, as I always did, I will, if I create a show, I will always make it theatrical, because it's in me. So if I would have all the money in the world, I think I would make shows and tour around big stadiums, because I love, it is my dream. I don't know if it will ever happen, because until now I only sang and performed on theaters, but I will be in every little detail: music, lights, videos, costume, the most important, the message, that it will be about love. And what I always wanted of being an artist is to bring something to people, because I always thought that I have a gift, but this is to be it's not mine, it belongs to people. And as one teacher told me one day, you are not the owner of your gift, you are just the administrator. You have to take care of it and for giving it to people. So I always thought that that's the way it is. And if I would have all the money in the world, I would do a lot of things for humanity. But as an artist, I will try to give peace, love, and hope to people.
Can you tell us what you are working on at the moment?
Where am I working? At the moment, well, we are working with Konstantin Lapshin, a very talented Russian pianist.
Son recuerdos del romance que una vez juntos empezamos tú y yo, y sin razón olvidamos. Quizás este amor escondido esté en un atardecer, en la brisa o en la flor, esperando tu regreso.
Well, my collaboration with Konstantin started last year, as we were talking about miracles. Well, something like this happened because I was in France. I have to do a concert, and I have Konstantin as a friend in Facebook. So obviously I knew that he was a great concertist, piano concertist. And so I remember I wrote him asking him if he knew a good pianist in Paris, because I was in Paris. So he said, "What for?" And I said, "Because I need him for a concert." And he said, "When is that concert?" I say 21 of June, I think, I don't remember exactly now. Um, and he said, okay, let me see. And he said, okay, I can do it, I will go. And I said, but I don't know if how much you will ask. And he said, don't worry, we will find a way, I will go. And so he went to Paris, and I met him, and since that time we've been working together, and our relation has grown a lot, because he's not only a great musician, generous and talented, but he's also a very nice person.
Yes, is. And I think you kind of help each other and develop each other in kind of different directions, because Konstantin he's a classical pianist, but with you he kind of starts turning to other genres as well, and I think he helps you with his kind of in-depth classical education and music as well, to develop your classical repertoire. Am I right?
Yeah, he helps me a lot. Sometimes he's always criticizing me, and sometimes I got mad about it, but it's okay, I understand it's for good. And
but this is part of the process, this is
yeah,
part of becoming better, so I think you shouldn't get upset with him.
No, it's just because it's my Italian blood. You should understand that. Italians don't like anyone to tell us what we have to do. So I've always been like this. But I respect a lot. And even when he tells me, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I say, oh, but why? Why? Everything is so wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the day, I know that he's right, and I change it because I am not stupid.
I think this is the main thing, that you kind of, even though you may overreact at first, then you listen and you can change. I think it's a great thing for any artist, that we can take criticism and kind of, if you believe that this is right and correct, we can adjust.
Yeah, of course. If you're not able to do that, then get out of you have to leave anything in life, not only for being an artist. A person starts to grow old when they stop learning and when they stop growing up. And so if you want to grow up, you have to be open, and to be open to learn and to accept what other people can tell you. So it's the only way, and it's the only way for being always young,
What would you like to achieve ideally? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What would be your dream scenario?
Oh, well, it depends of how these days will go, these years will go, but as we grow old, or as we grow up, or at least as I grew up, I found much more in touch with all those dreams that has to do with my personal life. So I can tell you that in 10 years I would love being with my childs, my sons, my kids, and maybe living a very beautiful life with them, with my family. And I can tell you that. And obviously I will be singing because it's something that is in my nature. But I have ambitions, but my biggest dream in my life is to have a beautiful family.
Don't go away, don't go away. Just stay with me and I will find another day to make us smile and laugh again. Just stay with me and I will find another way.
And I think there's a time for everything in my life. And I've tried, and I've been doing a lot of things as an artist, but because of that, I left so many things in the past, and I didn't give the chance to me and maybe to someone else to create a project together. I mean, I'm talking about a couple or something like that, because I was very concentrated in my career, and I was afraid of being destructive. But as I am growing older, I think I have done, or at least I've tried a lot, and I fought a lot. So I think in 10 years I will be very calm, quiet, and I will be enjoying of being with my kids at home in a cottage and happy. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kisses. Bye bye.
So much.